Hello, Entourage. What is up? It's already been a thrilling off season. We are getting closer, a little bit closer. This is when I feel like the real fantasy football season has begun. We got free agency. We got the draft. We know who's going to play where. Well, most people. I mean, there's still people lingering like Devontae Freeman or whatever. But now we have a little bit of a glimpse. And you know what I love about this fantasy season? This actually plays into my strengths because I know I'm a good talent evaluator, and we're probably not going to see a lot of these guys in training camp and preseason and stuff. So I get to use my experience and share with all of you guys so you can be ahead of the curve. So I absolutely love, the less we see of these players, the less people are going to be hip to guys like J.K. Dobbins. And I don't know, that's what I could think of at the time. But anyway, guys, I don't want to waste any more of your time. Make sure, I'm telling you right now, make sure you subscribe to those notifications because it's about to go down and we are going to have some winners, some big time winners. So hopefully you're in the money league because, you know, it's a pandemic and stuff. You could use a little extra cash. And if you keep watching here, that'll be you. All right, guys, let's get into it. Beginning with the AFC East, sorry. So, first team, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, so starting with Devin Singletary, he was somebody I was pretty high on. He finished the season really strong, looked great, was getting like 70% of the carries. And then Buffalo drafted Zack Moss, and they really talking really high about him. Now, I don't think Singletary be pushed aside. To me, I never thought he was going to be like that 70% snaps guy, so I wasn't expecting that anyway. So I'm going to say the offseason acquisition of, Zack Moss, Singletary, I'm going to put him as a neutral. I don't think his value has gone up. I don't think it's gone down, although some people... See, here's the thing, though. I think a lot of people believe his value went down because there's like this crazy thing now that everybody thinks, all these running backs are workhorses, but the truth of the matter is there was only 7 running backs that averaged over 70% of the snaps, and Singletary wasn't one of them because he had way below that. To start the season, they were more using Gore, and it wasn't until the end of the season that they started using Singletary as a workhorse. So, guys, this notion about a workhorse that, you need to be a workhorse to be effective in fantasy, it's just not true. So, I like Singletary because the addition of Diggs is real. That's somebody that defenses have to account for. So that'll open up some lanes for Singletary. And Zack Moss, the acquisition could be a good thing because he's more of a bruiser, although he is a capable pass catcher as well. So that could soften up the middle and give Singletary some more running room. So I'm going to have Singletary as a neutral. I think Josh Allen will continue to improve. So I got him going up in value. Dawson Knox, who I like as a tight end. He's a year older. I got him going up as well. And the only players I have really going down on Buffalo's offense is going to be John Brown because he was the number one receiver, for lack of a better word, and then Cole Beasley, because it's going to be less targets. Dick's going to get his share of targets. Now you got Zack Moss as well. He'll probably get a couple targets or a couple more touches that will go down to the running back position. So I have those 2 players going down. I have Josh Allen going up. I have Singletary, and Stefon Diggs is kind of a neutral for me because I think he'll be what he's always been. Stefon Diggs kind of been like that boom or bust guy. He could definitely win you any given week. And Josh Allen has a strong arm. Hasn't always been the most accurate, but he can throw the deep ball as long as, he doesn't overthrow him. So I do expect Josh Allen to get better. But at the same time, Diggs, I think he could replicate. He could definitely improve. But we don't know about Josh Allen's deep ball yet because he's been, like I said, inaccurate. So that could be either to the receivers. John Brown's okay, but he's not great. And, that was a problem coming out of college. So maybe a year or more, that can improve. So Diggs can have a better year of next year, but right now I got him as a neutral. All right. Next team up, the Miami Dolphins. Now, they were, movers and shakers in the offseason. They got their quarterback for the future, Tua. We don't know how long it's going to take before, he takes over the job. I would imagine Ryan Fitzpatrick will start off. Parker, that was their guy last year. He really took off once Preston Williams got injured, but most of his games before that were with Josh Rosen, so we don't know if it had to do with the Williams injury or if it was more a result of quarterback play. But I do think the Miami Dolphins have a couple more weapons now. They did sign Jordan Howard, who looked pretty good in Philly. I think he's going to make a good, nice 1-2 punch, him and Brieda. So I like Jordan Howard as a neutral. Because he's still going to be a little touchdown dependent, but he's going to get, I think, more touches than people think. Matt Breida is a big play guy. I think he's going to be kind of boom or bust. Might be, Garner weekly flex consideration. So I'll have him as a up because it's not going to be worse than what he did in San Francisco. But I don't know if I would, ever trust him as an every week starter. But like I said, bye-week filler at flex. In the right matchup, he could probably produce some points. Mike Gesicki, I think, will go up. It's a natural process to get better. He's going into his third year. That's usually when you see the most growth. So I do like Mike Gesicki. I think his floor is pretty safe, and I do think he has the ability and the talent to improve on last year's number, even though he did have a pretty good season. So I got Parker going down. I think Preston Williams will go up. I mean, to be able to produce how he did as a rookie, he looked really good. It wasn't until he got injured that it was due to injury that he didn't produce more, or else he would have been flirting with wide receiver 3 numbers. So I do think he has that type of upside and that talent. He's a big guy. So I think there's room for improvement for him. Gesicki. I got Parker going down. I got Jordan Howard as a neutral, like I mentioned to you, and I have Brieda going up just because, he was like third or fourth running back in San Francisco. Now for the Patriots. Jarrett Stidham, obviously he's got to go up. He's the starting quarterback now. I didn't really watch a whole lot of film on him. The stuff that I did see, he wasn't really that impressive. But I think he's the type of quarterback that can, manage an offense. Remember, the Patriots don't need a whole lot. Their defense is that good. Tom Brady was kind of like a manager for them, and I don't blame Tom as much as I do is, those receivers had a hard time getting separation. But one receiver to be on the lookout for is N'Keal Harry. He's been working with this footwork coach, supposed to be the best in the industry. He's worked with Antonio Brown and various other wide receivers. So he's somebody to be on the lookout for since it's his second year, and he spent most of his first year, getting injured. So I think we'll put an up for him. I think he can improve from last year. Edelman, you got to think, he's already getting up there in age, over 30, doesn't have his guy Tom Brady, so naturally you got to, put him down. Sony, Michel, I got to go down. I think Damien Harris is going to be a bigger part of this offense. They did draft him in the 3rd round. He's a talented back. There's a lot of talented backs out of New England that, they redshirted essentially their first year and turned out to be really good backs. One of them being James White, the other one being Shane Vereen. So I think Damien Harris will be a bigger part of the offense. James White's got to go down. Tom Brady's no longer there to do the dump off. So a lot of players I'm not that high on. Damien Harris, I mentioned, he was redshirted his first year. I think he'll be a bigger part. So obviously I think he'll go up. But he's really him, N'Keal Harry, and then just, Stidham by default are the only players that I see really going up. But I don't think this is going to be a very potent offense for the New England Patriots. So it's one of those teams that I'll probably be, staying away from quite a bit. Now for the Jets. Sam Darnold, if he doesn't get mono to start the season, I think he could go up. A little disappointed in Darnold last year. He looked good some games, but some games he just, I don't know. I question, how does he have that heart to be a really great quarterback? We'll see, but either way, I think he's got a couple more weapons. I do like Perriman. I think it's kind of like a wash between him and Anderson, but Perriman did turn it up, at the end of the season. We'll see if that was a result of being in the Tampa Bay offense and Jameis Winston, and whether or not he could produce in New York. Denzel Mims, one of my favorite rookies, excellent value. So, he's got 2 pretty good perimeter guys. I think Crowder's pretty decent in the slot as well. I think the wild card here is Chris Herndon. He didn't play most of last year, so obviously I got to put him as a player that can improve, or his situation has improved just by default. But it seemed to me like he was a little bit in Adam Gase's doghouse. So I have to give him, I have to say he's one of the players on the up and coming. So him, Darnold, Perriman, depends how we view Perriman. If we're looking at the whole season, then obviously I think he could go up. But if we're looking at, the last couple of games where he was just tearing it up, then I would say he's probably like going to go down or neutral. We'll see about that. But just based on last season's total stats, I think Perriman obviously could improve on that, being that he's the default wide receiver 1 in New York. Griffin, we'll see how much Herndon plays, but I would say he has to go down. I think Herndon's the better talent. And then, of course, Le'Veon Bell. I'm going to say Le'Veon Bell. That's tough. They drafted a running back in the 5th round, so that's not that big a deal, Perrine. They also signed Frank Gore, but he's like 37, so that's not as big a deal. I'm just not a very big Bell guy, but you also can't ignore that they selected, Mekhi Becton, who some people thought was the best left tackle in the draft. And you do got Darnold, hopefully, for a whole season. You got a couple added weapons. So I would lean more towards up. I think when it comes down to Bell, there's definitely some red flags, being that he's getting up there in age. Then you got Adam Gase. We don't know how much Adam Gase really likes Bell, if at all. So that part worries me just a little bit. But, based on the Jets' offense improving as a whole and the improvements they made to the offensive line, I'll say Bell, is a player that is slightly on the uprise. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the AFC East, and that is how these free agents and rookies affected the following players. If you have any questions, like always, guys, make sure you comment down below. It doesn't have to be just about this. It could be any fantasy questions. Also, follow me at Fantasy Football Rapper on Twitter, at IamFFRapper on, I got to reverse. Follow me at Fantasy Football Rapper on Instagram and at IamFFRapper on Twitter. Until next time, guys,